and welcome back to London Luxury Candle Supply's YouTube channel. One of our most commonly asked questions is what wick goes with what jar? So I just wanted to try today to do a video to simplify this process and get you to understand and be able to read a wick chart and select a wick that is right for the jar that you're wanting to bake, basically. So I've got three different jars here. I've got the cloche jar, I've got a Renee, and I've got a small Vogue. So the first thing you want to do is you want to grab a ruler or a tape measure and you want to measure the diameter of the jar. So I don't know if you guys can see that on this camera, but that jar is around 8 centimetres, 80 mil. So now you understand the diameter of the jar. What you want to do is you want to get to the wick chart. I've printed one off here, but hopefully there'll be one showing on the screen for you. And you want to look at the vessel diameter column. Head all the way down and you're looking for 80 mil. That means that that wick, it will burn 80 mil wide. So you're looking for something that says 80 mil. So you come all the way down here and you'll see the first one that says it burns 75 to 80 and the next one down says 80 to 85. So they're basically really good starting points for you. Obviously lots of things you have to take into consideration when selecting a wick, different waxes, fragrance oils, how much you're using, is it a full body one, is it a light one, and also what kind of container you're using. If you are using something that is glass, this is going to get a lot hotter than something that is ceramic. It's also, so if you were doing a ceramic jar, you might want to go on the higher end of the wick size because it won't get as hot, whereas if it's glass, you might want to go on the lower end of the wick size because obviously the container gets hotter, which means the wax can melt a lot easier. So for the purposes of that, you've measured up. So your first starting point would be, you would follow that back across on the chart, and the first starting point would be an LCS 75 or an LCS 80. That concept follows straight through into a different jar and also with the wood wick chart. So if you, again, the first thing you want to do is you want to measure your jar. So I've got here a small Vogue and a ruler. So as you can see, that jar inside is 7 centimetres, so about 70 mil. So you want to be looking on exactly the same column on the wood wick burn chart, and you want to be looking at the vessel diameter. Wood wicks do have more of a variable than cotton wicks. They're not quite as niche down in terms of that. So they might, in terms of like the measurements, but they definitely give you a good starting point. So you'd be looking here at the double wood wick 10, 60 to 70 mil, or you could try the double wood wick 13. They would be your first two starting points for that jar. The final thing I just wanted to touch upon was a lot of confusion happens with tapered candles. So people don't know if to measure the top, the bottom, or the middle of, and basically how to select a wick using the diameter rule. You would still use the top of the jar. So the reason that being is because as the candle gets to about here, this glass is heated up, so the glass is helping the wick with the melt pool regardless. So your starting point would always be the top of the jar, not the widest point. So for example, this one, we'd be looking again at, it's about 7.5 centimetres that is, so 75 mil. So again, same concept applies. You would download the wick chart, head to vessel diameter, and you would scroll across to see what wick that you would need for different jars. And that's really the main concept, and it's definitely how you would start testing. It should save you a lot of time, a lot of money. Our charts have been developed to be easy to follow, so you're not having a million different wicks.